another Balkan war by focusing on the wrong questions instead of tackling the real danger. I thank you so much.
I thank Madam Gërvalla Schwartz for her statement, and I now give the floor to those members of the Council who wish to make statements, and I give the floor to the representative of China.
President, first I welcome Foreign Minister Gjuriqin of Serbia to today's meeting. I thank Deputy SISG Milbert Dongzhenshen for his briefing. I make 4 points. First, it is imperative to maintain social stability. For some time now, the situation in northern Kosovo has been volatile. The Kosovo authorities forced the closure of multiple institutions opened by the Serb community, targeted Serbs with violent searches, threats, and coercion, and forcibly built and opened the Ibar River bridge. These acts violate the legitimate rights and interests of the Serbs and lead to panic and tensions. China expresses grave concerns over these developments. We urge the Kosovo authorities to cease escalatory unilateral actions, earnestly safeguard the safety and legitimate rights and interests of the Serb community, and maintain peace and stability in the north. Second, committed efforts are needed to promote ethnic reconciliation. The complex ethnic relations in Balkans have been shaped by history. Inclusion and reconciliation serve the long-term and fundamental interests of all communities. Lately, divisions simmered among parties over Kosovo parliamentary elections, underscoring the urgently needed ethnic reconciliation. We call on the Kosovo authorities to take seriously the basic appeals of all communities, including Serbs, in political, economic, culture, and linguistic domains, foster a stronger sense of security, participation, and fulfillment, contributing to greater mutual trust and unity among communities. The 2013 Brussels Agreement explicitly provides for the establishment of an association of Serb-majority municipalities, charting a course for harmonious coexistence between Serb and Albanian communities. The Kosovo authorities should expedite the implementation of relevant commitments. Third, we must steadfastly advance dialogue and negotiation. China welcomes the 2 EU-facilitated meetings between Serbia and Kosovo and notes the challenges faced by the Belgrade-Pristina dialogue process. The crux of the issue lies in Kosovo authorities' long-standing unilateral actions and the ensuing mutual trust deficit and heightened ethnic antagonism. We look forward to the Kosovo authorities' constructive measures to encourage engagement of the parties, bridge differences and division, and seek an early political settlement of relevant issues. Fourth, we must firmly support the role of the UN. The UN's presence is a strong guarantee for resolving the Kosovo issue. The Security Council should maintain attention to and input in the Kosovo issue and support UNMIK in playing its role for the stability and national reconciliation in Kosovo. The Kosovo authorities should earnestly respect and ensure the safety and security of UNMIK personnel and premises and provide convenience for the mission to conduct its work. President, China's position on Kosovo issue is consistent and clear. We support the parties concerned within the framework of Council Resolution 1244 in reaching a mutually acceptable solution through dialogue and consultation. In this process, Serbia's sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity should be fully respected. China stands ready to work with all parties to continue to promote dialogue, engagement, and peaceful coexistence among communities of the region, and the early political settlement of the Kosovo issue. Thank you.
I thank the representative of China for his statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of Somalia.
Mr. President, at the outset, I would like to thank Deputy SRSG Shin for his comprehensive briefing. Somalia welcomes the participation of His Excellency Mr. Duric, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Serbia, Ms. Gërvalla Schwartz, and Mr. Lambrinidis, head of the delegation of the European Union to the United Nations. We have carefully reviewed the Secretary General's latest report and recognize the important role that UNMIK continues to play in supporting peace, stability, and dialogue in the region. Our delegation appreciates the commitment of all parties to constructive engagement and acknowledges the ongoing efforts to address outstanding challenges through peaceful means. We take note of the steps taken towards the constitution of the Assembly of Kosovo. It's essential that all parties work together constructively to ensure the completion of this process in an inclusive manner and in accordance with Kosovo's constitutional standards. With local elections continuing in November, Somalia urges all political actors in Kosovo to foster the conditions necessary for a peaceful, free, and inclusive electoral process. We reaffirm our continued and unwavering support for the European Union facilitated dialogue, which remains the principal framework for resolving outstanding issues between Belgrade and Pristina. We call on both parties to reaffirm their commitment to this dialogue and to avoid any actions or rhetoric that could undermine trust or escalate tensions. It's vital that all unresolved matters be addressed constructively and in good faith with the meaningful participation of all stakeholders, including women, to ensure that solutions are comprehensive and sustainable. To conclude, Mr. President, we express our appreciation for the outgoing Special Representative, Ms. Carolina Zeide, and the entire UNMIK team for their tireless efforts in promoting dialogue and building trust on the ground. We further acknowledge the valuable cooperation among UNMIK, the United Nations Kosovo team, and key partners including KFOR, OSCE, and the European Union. The continued unified support of this Council for diplomatic engagement remains essential. The international community stands ready to assist all parties in their pursuit of mutually acceptable and peaceful solutions. We encourage all stakeholders to prioritize engagement through established frameworks and to demonstrate restraint in both words and actions. Lasting peace will require patience, sustained commitment, and a collective dedication to diplomatic engagement. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Somalia for his statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of the Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to begin by expressing my appreciation to Deputy SLSG Shin for his comprehensive and timely briefing. The Republic of Korea also welcomes the participation of His Excellency Mr. Marko Gjuriqin, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Serbia, and Her Excellency Ms. Donika Gërvalla, Deputy Prime Minister of Kosovo in this meeting. Mr. President, the 2023 Belgrade-Pristina agreements reached under EU facilitation represented a positive step in normalizing relations between Kosovo and Serbia. Yet, persistent challenges continue to threaten progress. Despite these difficulties, we remain confident that sustainable normalization can only be achieved through political dialogue and negotiations within the EU-facilitated framework. The Secretary General's report outlined several long-standing regional concerns that continue to pose obstacles to peace and stability. We welcome the recent progress made in overcoming the 8-month stalemate in Kosovo Assembly, while recognizing that institutional challenges and political tensions will remain between Belgrade and Pristina, including during the period between the last spring's parliamentary elections and the lead up to this month's local elections. In this context, my delegation would like to make the following points. First, we continue to support the EU's effort to facilitate progress toward normalization. In this regard, we commend the efforts of Mr. Sorensen, the EU Special Representative for the Belgrade-Pristina dialogue, for his continued engagement with both sides, his contribution to encouraging implementation of existing agreements. We also echo the Secretary General's message urging the two parties to recommit to EU-facilitated dialogue and to refrain from volatile rhetoric and unilateral action. Only by addressing issues in good faith within the agreed framework can Kosovo move forward and leave behind the most painful aspect of its history. Second, during the reporting period, both sides undertook actions and rhetoric that risked further heightening tensions and undermining mutual trust. The Republic of Korea remains deeply concerned about any steps that may erode confidence, weaken the rule of law, deviate from the framework of the Belgrade-Pristina dialogue. We also emphasize the importance of accountability, restraint, and respect for human rights as essential foundations for lasting peace and reconciliation. The issue of missing persons should likewise continue to receive priority attention as it directly affects trust between communities. Third, despite ongoing tension, some positive developments have reinforced trust building and cooperation. The Barabar Center, a flagship program empowering vulnerable and marginalized groups, hosted 37 events and welcomed over 3,000 participants from different ethnic groups. Initiatives such as Women, Peace and Security Forum and Youth Assembly in Kosovo also have furthered encouraged dialogue and mutual understanding among communities. Finally, we reiterate our strong support for UNMIC as it continues to engage constructively with both parties while coordinating closely with KFOR, UREX, and other international partners. We highly value the commitment of these institutions to promoting a peaceful coexistence in Kosovo. At the same time, we also recognize a more streamlined vision of roles could enhance overall effectiveness, as some of the UNMIC's initial functions have been assumed by other institutions. In closing, Mr. President, as this is the last scheduled security meeting of this year, we reiterate our consistent position that the Republic of Korea supports the pursuit of political normalization through peaceful means. We remain hopeful through dialogue, cooperation, a steadfast commitment to democracy and rule of law, peace and stability will once again prevail in Kosovo, paving the way for peaceful and prosperous future for all its community. I thank you.
I thank the representative of the Republic of Korea for his statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of Denmark.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I thank Deputy Special Representative Mr. Shin for his briefing, and welcome Ministers Gjuriq and Gërvalla Schwartz at today's briefing, as well as the head of the EU delegation, Ambassador Lambrinidis. Let me also take this opportunity to thank Ms. Caroline Siade for her work leading the mission in Kosovo for more than 3.5 years. Mr. President, Denmark welcomes the peaceful, inclusive, and competitive conduct of the first round of local elections held on 12th October. We were pleased to see all communities take part in the elections, reflecting the spirit of inclusivity and democratic engagement. We call on both Serbia and Kosovo to increase their commitment to the EU-facilitated dialogue. As newly appointed Special Representative for the dialogue, Mr. Peter Sorensen has said very clearly, it is time to move forward. Substantial agreements are already in place through the dialogue. Now they must be implemented. According to these agreements, Kosovo must establish the Association of Serb Majority Municipalities, and Serbia must refrain from opposing Kosovo's membership of international organizations. Normalization of relations is in the interest of all people of Kosovo and Serbia. It would benefit regional peace, security, and long-term stability. Mr. President, progress requires restraint, mutual respect, and political courage. Overcoming the current political stalemate in Kosovo is key for ensuring progress, reconciliation, and building trust. In this respect, Denmark calls for the full respect of the constitutional processes and ensuring inclusive institutions and preservation of their multi-ethnic character. We urge political leaders to be responsible in the rhetoric, recognizing the impacts word can have. It is in the hands of you to lay the foundation for cooperation and common understanding between communities. Denmark is deeply concerned about the situation in northern Kosovo. We urge all actors to exercise restraint and refrain from unilateral actions that could escalate tensions and undermine stability. It is essential that concerns of non-majority communities are effectively addressed, especially in relation to the closure of Serbia-run institutions delivering essential services. These issues should be resolved within the EU-facilitated dialogue. We further call on the Kosovo government to intensify efforts for the return of Kosovo Serb judges, prosecutors, and police officers to the Kosovo institutions. We'd also like to stress that Serbia needs to take all necessary measures to prosecute perpetrators of the violent attacks in Banjka that happened more than 2 years ago. Genuine commitment to these outstanding issues is the only way to build trust. Mr. President, we commend UNMIK for their important work in enhancing trust and inter-ethnic dialogue in Kosovo. This is especially important with regard to the youth, who make up around half of the population. We also welcome the vital cooperation between the mission and the UN Kosovo team, as well as other international partners, including EULEX and KFOR. It is the Council's responsibility to ensure that mandates are regularly reviewed to ensure that they reflect the realities on the ground. As the current mandate is from 1999, Denmark remains ready to discuss a possible strategic review of the mission. Before concluding, let me reiterate Denmark's long-standing and continued support of a peaceful, prosperous, and multi-ethnic Kosovo. We fully support its European aspirations and full integration in the international system. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Denmark for her statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of Guyana.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank Deputy SRSG Shin for his briefing. I also thank former SRSG Caroline Ziade for her leadership of the United Nations Administration Mission in Kosovo, UNMIK, and for her efforts to advance peace. We welcome the participation of His Excellency Mr. Marko Gjuriqin, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Serbia, and Her Excellency Ms. Donika Gërvalla, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Foreign Affairs and Diaspora of Kosovo, and His Excellency Stavros Lambrinidis, Head of the Delegation of the European Delegation, in today's meeting. Mr. President, Guyana reiterates its support for UNMIK as the mission continues to play an important role in the promotion of security, stability, and social cohesion in Kosovo. Additionally, it provides critical reporting that informs this Council of important developments on the ground. UNMIK's continued engagement with stakeholders and their activities geared towards promoting social cohesion among Kosovo's diverse population is commendable. Its trust-building agenda is especially vital to the maintenance of stability and to finding a path to lasting peace. Mr. President, since her last meeting on this agenda item, Kosovo has faced significant political hurdles in their efforts to form a new government. We are encouraged by the recent breakthroughs with the election of the full Assembly leadership and call on all political leaders to work together towards the approval of a cabinet that can capably represent all Kosovars. We commend the peaceful and orderly manner in which the municipal elections were held just over a week ago. We have noted the reports on the preliminary results and remain optimistic that the process will proceed in line with the rule of law and democratic principles. Kosovo's path towards securing its statehood and European integration relies on its ability to demonstrate responsible and inclusive governance. In this regard, it is incumbent upon its political leaders to show a firm commitment to international law, including respect for the human rights of its entire population. We are concerned by actions taken by authorities, including the closing of Serbian-run institutions, as was highlighted in the Secretary General's report. We share the assessment that these unilateral actions risk heightening tensions and undermining the progress made in recent years through the EU-facilitated dialogue. Guyana urges the authorities in Kosovo to refrain from implementing policies that could have potentially negative impacts on the livelihood of ethnic minorities or lead to a further deterioration of the tenuous relations between Belgrade and Pristina. We also call upon the Serb authorities to similarly avoid unilateral actions that may strain relations. Mr. President, a commitment to building trust in multi-ethnic societies is paramount to realizing national unity and stability. But such commitment must be manifested in concrete action. Diversity can be a powerful source of strength, but there must be investment in it, including eschewing harmful rhetoric and promoting inclusion, tolerance, and harmony. If not, diversity can become a source of division, including through manipulation of unaddressed grievances. Guyana continues to believe that the party's best avenue to secure a just and lasting peace is through the EU-facilitated dialogue. We regret that the implementation of agreements for the normalization of relations has not progressed. We call on the parties to recommit to dialogue and to take the necessary steps that are in line with agreements already reached. In conclusion, Guyana reaffirms its support for an independent, democratic Kosovo. Both the peoples of Kosovo and Serbia are deserving of the opportunity to pursue their prosperity in two peaceful, neighborly states. With leaders committed to democratic ideals, the rule of law, and the advancement of human rights, this future is possible. I thank you.
I thank Guyana for the statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of the United States.
Thank you, Deputy Special Representative Milbert Shin, for your briefing. Colleagues, the ultimate goal of a peacekeeping mission should be to enable the conditions that obviate the need for the mission. UNMIC long ago helped bring about those conditions. There is no security crisis in Kosovo, and UNMIC no longer has a role in the governance of Kosovo. The time has come to draw down the mission. Mr. Shin, we recognize UNMIC's efforts to foster dialogue and legal reform in Kosovo. Those are helpful. But the reality is that UNMIC is a bloated peacekeeping mission without peacekeepers, with 81% of the mission's budget funding staff salaries, working on functions that should be done by other organizations. It is time to begin the important work of transferring those functions away from UNMIC to the agencies better suited for the task, as we begin the process of gradually closing the mission. The mission is currently undergoing a staffing review, and we expect this process to be taken seriously as an opportunity to streamline the mission instead of recklessly justifying the mission's existence. Wasteful spending damages the United Nations as a whole. As we have said time and again, the United States is committed to identifying and eliminating unnecessary wasteful spending in the United Nations in order to ensure relevance and maximum impact for the money spent. The United Nations must return to its original purpose of maintaining international peace and security and resolving conflicts. As a council, we must support ending missions when they are no longer needed. The United States calls on fellow council members to revisit UNMIC's mandate so that we may wind down its operations. This transition is overdue. Colleagues, if we are steadfastly committed to the cause of peace, we must also ensure the time and resources of the Council are spent efficiently where most needed. These frequent performative meetings on UNMIC are wasteful and diminish the important work this Council must do. This meeting is not advancing international peace and security. It is giving a political platform to some domestic audiences. These meetings damage the institution. The United States urges Kosovo and Serbia to work to lower tensions, refrain from escalatory measures, and build peace and stability between them, with the ultimate goal of mutual recognition. These are the admirable goals that the United States supports. Colleagues, I urge all of us to ensure our time and resources are spent on the most pressing matters. Let us get back to the basics of peace and security. Thank you.
I now give the floor to the representative of Slovenia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank Deputy SRSG Milberšin for his briefing, and I welcome ministers to the chamber. Slovenia commends EULEX, EU Rule of Law Mission, KFOR, UNMIK, and EU Facilitated Dialogue for their ongoing efforts to maintain stability, normalize relations, and promote sustainable governance and regional cooperation in Kosovo. I also want to express my appreciation for former SRSG Caroline Zajede for her work. Colleagues, there are many lessons learned from the 26 years of existence of UNMIK in Kosovo. Lessons learned for our dealing with Kosovo, as well as for other situations, like the one in Gaza. UNMIK was established after the conflict in Kosovo ended. Serbian forces and Serbian civilian administration withdrew from Kosovo. And as the name suggests, UN interim administration in Kosovo, the Security Council authorized UNMIK to govern Kosovo in an interim period. UNMIK was vested all legislative and executive authority. Responsibilities were shared between the UN and regional organizations. Apart from the overall responsibilities, UNMIK was in charge of civilian administration, including law and order. UNHCR took over the humanitarian part. Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe worked on institution building and democratization. The EU on economic development, civil society, and normalization of relations. NATO was the security provider and led the process of disarming KLA fighters. Apologies for venturing into the history of UNMIK, but looking back at its early years, we can identify two key takeaways. First, how much the situation in Kosovo has changed, has progressed past 26 years, and thus the need for UNMIK to adjust. And second, how much UNMIK experience from the early years can be informative for reflection on the model for future interim governance and security in Gaza. On the first point, the progress of Kosovo. The overall security situation in Kosovo remains stable. We welcome the recent formation of the Kosovo Assembly, which we see as an important step in resolving institutional uncertainty. We are encouraged by the successful conduct of local elections with participation from Kosovo Serbs. This represents one of the crucial steps toward inclusive, citizen-oriented local governance necessary for long-term stability. Equitable representation of non-majority communities in public institutions, especially judiciary, police, and local administration, is vital for building confidence in governance. Equal access to services, justice, education, and social welfare is a cornerstone of stability. The association community of Serb-majority municipalities should be established to promote inclusion and empowerment. Accountability for violence, including the September 2023 Banska attack, must be ensured with due process. Our messages are consistent, and we continue to call for mutual acceptance, strategic patience, dialogue, restraint for unilateral actions, and harmful rhetoric. What we need is a political will to fully and unconditionally implement the EU-facilitated Brussels agreements and its Ohrid Annex. Further spirit of compromise will be needed for long-term normalization of relations. On UNMIK, reflecting on the past should inform us about the future. Many things have changed in Kosovo since the end of the conflict. Kosovo declared independence in 2008 and took control of its affairs with regular cycle of elections and functioning institutions. European-led dialogue on normalization of relations between Pristina and Belgrade continues since 2011. And Kosovo is now first security provider in Kosovo, with ULEX and NATO as backup forces. For many years now, UNMIK is not implementing its initial mandate. We believe it may soon be the right moment for a thoughtful and realistic discussion, perhaps a strategic review on the future of UNMIK's engagement. Colleagues, as we learned from SG report and today from Deputy SRSG and the two ministers, there are still many issues that Kosovo and its communities need to deal with to rebuild trust and dialogue and to provide a better and reassuring future for many communities, especially a Serb one. The European path of peace, reconciliation and cooperation is the key to open those doors. Thank you.
I thank the representative of Slovenia for his statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of the United Kingdom.
I thank Deputy Special Representative Milbert Shin for his briefing and for the work he and his team are doing in Kosovo. I would also like to thank former SRSG Caroline Ziade for her leadership and her service during her tenure. And I welcome the participation of the ministers of Serbia and Kosovo in today's meeting, as well as that of the head of the EU delegation. I will make 3 points. First, the United Kingdom remains a steadfast supporter of Kosovo's democratic development and Euro-Atlantic path. As the first country to recognise Kosovo's independence, we call upon those member states who have not yet done so to join the majority. Recognition is essential for long-term stability and for unlocking Kosovo's full potential. We encourage swift progress towards the formation of a government in Kosovo with a clear parliamentary mandate, and we commend the smooth conduct of the recent municipal elections. We are concerned, however, by some recent statements that risk undermining fundamental state institutions, including the Constitutional Court. Strong and inclusive institutions are vital to advancing Kosovo's international integration and to delivering for all its citizens. Second, the return of Kosovo Serb mayors to majority Serb municipalities in northern Kosovo marks a welcome return to a fully representative local government. We encourage all sides to ensure this transition is carried out in full respect of the rule of law and to enable the reintegration of eligible Kosovo Serb officials into Kosovo's institutions. 2 years on from the Banska attack, the United Kingdom reiterates our call on Serbia to play its part in reducing tensions and bringing those responsible to justice, including Milan Radojcic. Accountability for this and the attacks on KFOR troops earlier that year is long overdue. We continue to call on Kosovo and Serbia to resolve outstanding disagreements through the EU-facilitated dialogue. Full implementation of all commitments made, including the establishment of an association of Serb-majority municipalities, is essential to building trust and ensuring long-term stability. We also welcome the constructive engagement of both parties in regional initiatives, including the Berlin process that the UK chaired this year. This has helpfully reinforced good neighbourly relations and shared commitments to stability. Third, with growing pressure on UN budgets, resources must be directed where they deliver greatest impact, not tied to legacy missions with outdated mandates. As we have long said, conditions on the ground in Kosovo are unrecognisable from 1999. A strategic review of UNMIK's role, responsibilities and funding is overdue. The civilian staffing review must deliver real efficiencies through a genuine assessment of what is needed and what is not. In this year of UN80 reform, the Council should ensure UNMIK is agile, efficient and fit for purpose in a world of constrained resources and global crises. I thank you.
I now give the floor to the representative of Panama.
Gracias.
Thank you, Mr. President. We acknowledge the presence of the delegations of Kosovo, Serbia, and the European Union, whose participation today honors us. We'd also like to express our thanks to the Deputy Special Representative of the Secretary-General, Milbert Dongjun Shin, for his detailed briefing. Panama welcomes the recent holding of local elections in Kosovo. The preliminary results of these reflect a democratic and competitive process that fortunately unfolded in a largely peaceful environment. The fact that most of the municipalities are now headed towards a runoff bears out the vitality and diversity in the country. In light of this dynamism befitting of any electoral contest, we respectfully call on all political actors to maintain calm, mutual respect, and commitment to the entire democratic process, including respect for the legitimate electoral results. Further, we take note of the reports that mention a certain fragility in the security situation in northern Kosovo. These, however, do fortunately confirm that general stability in the country remains intact. More broadly, we hope that the current challenges in institutional formation can soon be overcome, and so that Kosovo can form a fully functioning government that enhances social cohesion, governance, and public trust in institutions. In this context, we reiterate that this process must respect constitutional principles, majority and non-majority feel truly represented. In the same vein, we trust that conversations between Pristina and Belgrade can progress with genuine commitment on both sides, leading to concrete results for the benefit of the entire region. In this context, Panama recognizes the important roles of the United Nations Interim Administration Mission in Kosovo, UNMIK, the European Union Rule of Law Mission in Kosovo, EULEX, and European Union facilitation of the Belgrade-Pristina process. Their joint efforts have been fundamental to strengthening institutions, promoting reconciliation, and leading the parties towards a possible normalization of their relations. In the same sense, we welcome the holding in 2025 of the first meeting of the Working Group on Missing Persons. The right to know the truth as to the whereabouts of loved ones is an essential step towards healing wounds and moving towards reconciliation. President, Panama reaffirms its belief that dialogue and the inclusion of all without any form of distinction are crucial to forging peaceful coexistence. In this spirit, Panama encourages all parties to continue pursuing understanding, cooperation, and the quest for solutions that will guarantee the well-being, peace, and stability of the region. Thank you very much.
I thank the representative of Panama for his statement, and I give the floor to the representative of Sierra Leone.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank Mr. Milbert Shin, the Deputy Special Representative of the Secretary General for Kosovo, for his informative briefing. Sierra Leone welcomes the participation of Foreign Ministers Donika and Gërvalla, as well as Ambassador Lambridinis, in this meeting. We take note of the Secretary General's report, the quarterly reports of K4 activities, and the report of the European Union Rule of Law Mission, EULEX. We commend the collective efforts of regional and international partners and the coordination among organizations, particularly in strengthening governance and advancing normalization between Belgrade and Pristina, with the shared objective of accelerating progress towards European Union integration. We thank the European Union Special Representatives for the Belgrade-Pristina dialogue, for facilitating 2 trilateral meetings in Brussels on 9 June and 11 September 2025. We reiterate our call for the full implementation of the Ohrid and Brussels agreements and welcome the easing of restrictions aimed at building trust and sustaining dialogue. Sierra Leone wishes to make the following 4 points. First, we emphasize the critical role of political leadership in resolving the Kosovo question. We commend the progress made towards constituting the Assembly of Kosovo, including the election of its president and 4 of the 5 deputy presidents. We encourage completion of the process, including the election of the remaining deputy president from the Kosovo Serb community. We take note of the earlier constitutional challenges, the outcome of the 12 October 2025 local elections, and the importance of representation within Kosovo's institutions. As the political process progresses, we urge an orderly and inclusive approach. We call on all actors to avoid politicizing ethnic representation and to cooperate to complete the process in an inclusive manner in line with Kosovo's constitutional standards and to prioritize the collective interests of Kosovo's multi-ethnic population. Second, as Kosovo charts its path towards its institutions must be credible. We stress the need to preserve integrity and accountability, in particular within the justice sector and law enforcement institutions. We commend the contributions of ONMIC and UNDP in strengthening justice institutions. We acknowledge the continued work of the specialist chambers and the specialist prosecutors in ensuring accountability for war crimes, as well as the important restorative efforts of Commission of Missing Persons. Transitional justice and reconciliation remain critical to healing divisions and fostering sustainable peace. We reiterate our call for swift and impartial investigations and, where needed, prosecutions concerning the 2023 incident. We remain concerned about efforts of excessive use of force in northern Kosovo, including incidents with a gender dimension. Retaliation measures only deepen divisions and must be avoided. We stress the importance of keeping policing free from politicization and ensuring that the Kosovo police act in a manner that upholds accountability and fosters public confidence. Third, we note with concern the continued lack of progress in establishing the association community of Serb-majority municipalities. We call on Pristina to take immediate and tangible steps to address these challenges and on Belgrade to maintain its commitment to constructive engagement. We further caution against measures that jeopardize the social, economic, and cultural rights of any community, particularly the continued closure of key institutions in the northern municipalities. Public services must remain accessible to all communities, and public institutions should integrate members of every community. We therefore reiterate our call for the meaningful inclusion of Kosovo Serbs and all minority groups in law enforcement, the judiciary, the political decision-making processes. In this regard, we commend ONMIC's continued efforts to promote intercommunity trust and to support women, peace, security, and youth, peace and security agendas. Fourth and finally, as the Balkans continue to seek lasting peace, regional stability remains on sustained dialogue, mutual trust, and restraint by all parties. We underscore the need for parties to prioritize the escalation, refrain from unilateral measures, and engage in the EU-facilitated dialogue aimed at normalizing relations between Belgrade and Pristina. In closing, Mr. President, let me reaffirm Sierra Leone's support for UNMIK's mandate and presence, and recognizes its important role in building confidence, promoting human rights and the rule of law, supporting progress towards normalization between Belgrade and Pristina, strengthening institutions, and supporting long-term peace and stability in Kosovo and the wider region. We therefore join the Secretary General in expressing deep appreciation to the former Special Representative, Caroline Ziade, and the entire UNMIK team for their contributions and unwavering support in fostering dialogue and trust in building Kosovo. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Sierra Leone for his statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of Algeria.
Thank you, Mr. President. At the outset, I welcome the participation of Mr. Marko Gjuriqin, Foreign Minister of Serbia. I also thank the Deputy Special Representative of the Secretary General for Kosovo, Mr. Milbert Donjongshin, for his valuable briefing. I also thank Ms. Caroline Ziade for her relentless efforts while chairing UNMIK. We have listened closely to the statement delivered by Ms. Donika Gërvalla. Mr. President, we are meeting today amidst important political developments in the territory of Kosovo. We have been closely following the ongoing local elections, the first round of which was held on the 12th of October. And we are awaiting the second round of these elections in November. And we hope that the process will proceed smoothly. We are also hopeful that the ongoing political process since the February elections will be completed in Kosovo, despite tensions among various political actors. These tensions could have negative consequences, fueling the existing tensions. Furthermore, we note the progress made in the EU-facilitated dialogue to implement the existing agreements between parties, knowing that many such agreements are still facing obstacles and difficulties, including the Brussels Agreement of 2013 and the Ohrid Agreement of 2023. At the same time, the concerns raised by the Serbian minority remain, especially following the unilateral measures adopted by the authorities in Kosovo, such as the closure of financial institutions and the closure of institutions providing essential services to the Serbian community in Kosovo. In this context, we would like to note the following. First, Algeria emphasizes the need to preserve security and peace in Kosovo. This is essential to achieve the desired stability. Algeria also calls on both parties to avoid any escalation, including the actions that might affect the social and economic situation of minority communities. This, in turn, will have negative repercussions on the existing situation. Second, Algeria emphasizes the importance of genuine engagement in the EU-led dialogue in order to enhance mutual understanding and to bring Belgrade and Pristina closer together, in addition to renewing commitment to the implementation of the relevant agreements. In this context, confidence building among communities remains vital in order to create a conducive environment for dialogue. Therefore, we reaffirm the need to adopt the necessary measures to create the association of Serb-majority municipalities that is long awaited. Equally important is to guarantee sufficient representation of the Kosovo Serbs and other minorities in the local and judiciary institutions. Third, we encourage UNMIK to pursue its efforts to create favorable conditions for a peaceful life for all the residents of Kosovo without exception, and to strengthen regional stability, in addition to promoting the respect for human rights, the rule of law, gender equality, and the empowerment of women and youth. In conclusion, Algeria reaffirms its unwavering commitment to support all the efforts made in accordance with rules of international law and Security Council Resolution 1244 to reach a just and comprehensive solution between the parties. Thank you, President.
I thank the representative of Algeria for his statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of Greece.
Mr. President, I thank Deputy Special Representative Shin for his informative briefing. I also welcome the presence of the ministers from Serbia and Kosovo to the Council, and as well as the participation of the head of the EU delegation at today's meeting. Greece expresses its appreciation to the former Special Representative of the Secretary General and former head of UNMIK, Mrs. Yade, for her leadership and valuable contributions in fostering respect for the rule of law and peaceful coexistence among all communities in Kosovo. I wish to make the following points. First, Greece remains strongly committed to supporting the normalization process of bilateral relations between Serbia and Kosovo within the framework of the European Union facilitated dialogue. It is imperative that both sides expedite their re-engagement in a constructive manner, aiming at a comprehensive and legally binding normalization agreement beneficial for the entire region. The full respect and implementation of the Brussels-Ohrid agreements by both parties and without conditionality remain imperative in order to build trust and achieve progress in the dialogue. Greece reiterates its steadfast support to the dedicated efforts of the EU Special Representative for the Belgrade-Pristina dialogue, Peter Sorensen. We also welcome the latest trilateral meeting which took place within this framework in June and September this year and underlined the need for tangible progress. The future of Serbia and Kosovo lies within the EU. Since the adoption of the 2003 Thessaloniki Declaration of the EU Western Balkans Summit, Greece constantly provides its unwavering support to both parties in fulfilling their European aspirations. And we will continue to advocate the need for sincere dialogue and adherence to the principles of democracy, rule of law, and respect for international law, including the inviolability of international borders as the only viable path towards peace and stability in our region. Second, Greece welcomes the conclusion of the first round of municipal elections in Kosovo in a free, inclusive, and peaceful manner, as well as the active and meaningful participation of all communities in the election process. We stress once more that the rights of the Kosovo Serb community need to be fully respected and implemented, including the rights of unimpeded participation in local governance, law enforcement, and the judiciary. In this context, we reiterate the need for restoring as soon as possible Kosovo Serb police officers, judges, and prosecutors. The multi-ethnic character of Kosovo must be preserved. However, the situation in northern Kosovo remains fragile. We deplore the continuation of unilateral actions, especially the ongoing closure of Serb administrative structures, which are vital for the local population and have detrimental effects to the lives of Kosovo Serbs. Greece reiterates that the establishment of the association community of Serb majority municipalities without preconditions remains essential for the stability and prosperity of northern Kosovo. It is essential part of the agreements that must be fully respected and implemented. At the same time, the perpetrators of the Baiska attack of 2023 must be brought to justice with no further delay and in full compliance with the rule of law principle. Accountability is key in order to consolidate peaceful coexistence and reconciliation between communities. We repeat our call to all sides for the absolute respect of human rights and freedoms of all communities in Kosovo. Third, UNMIK's mandate is closely intertwined with the Security Council Resolution 1244, which provides the legal framework for a final political settlement between Serbia and Kosovo. In this context, Greece acknowledges the important role of UNMIK in promoting reconciliation in Kosovo and supports the continuation of its mandate as necessary. UNMIK's long-standing engagement since 1999 for preserving peace and stability in the region is unquestionable. We are open to discuss ways of enhancing the mission's efficiency in accordance with the Security Council Resolution 1244 so that it continues to remain fit for purpose. UNMIK coordination with the Kosovo Force and the European Union Rule of Law Mission in Kosovo enhances trust building among all communities and meaningful integration of the most vulnerable groups, including women and youth. We also reiterate the need for the unimpeded and secure return of refugees and displaced persons. Finally, Mr. President, avoiding divisive rhetoric and consolidating reconciliation mechanism can reinstate trust and enhance peace, stability, and prosperity in Kosovo and the wider region. Greece will continue to do its part in this regard. I thank you.
Statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of France. Mr. President, I wish first and foremost to thank the Deputy Special Representative and Secretary General, Mr. Shin, for his statement. I also wish to welcome the presence among us of the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Serbia, Mr. Marko Gjuriqin, and of Kosovo, Madam Donika Gërvalla, as well as the representative of the European Union, Mr. Stavros Lambrinidis. France applauds the conduct of the first round of municipal elections in Kosovo on the 12th of October last. The elections were carried out without incident and with the participation of all communities, as was observed by the members of the delegation of the Council of Europe, which carried out an electoral observation mission. France welcomes the participation of the Serbs of Kosovo in the electoral process, and we call for a peaceful passage of power, transfer of power in the municipalities in the north of Kosovo. Mr. President, there is no possible alternative, neither positive nor for Serbia, nor for Kosovo, neither for Serbia nor for Kosovo, no alternative to the normalization of their relations, which is key to their integration into the European Union. This is part of the framework of the EU-facilitated dialogue that an agreement could be arrived at to definitively resolve the disputes between the two countries. France will continue to support European mediation, specifically the efforts undertaken by the Special Representative of the European Union, responsible for dialogue between Belgrade and Pristina, Mr. Peter Sorensen. Mr. President, in order to achieve this normalization, the two countries must honor the commitments assumed through the Brussels-Ohrid Accords. France regrets the fact that the ongoing closure by the Kosovo government of Serb administrative structures in Kosovo has negative repercussions for the day-to-day lives of the Serb population of Kosovo. The status of these administrative structures needs to be resolved through the establishment of the Association of Serb-Majority Municipalities through European mediation efforts. France also encourages the restoration of active participation of Serbs in local governance, the maintenance of law and order, and the judicial system in the north of Kosovo. Likewise, it is unacceptable for the perpetrators of the Banjska attack to remain at large. Unacceptable that they remain at large more than 2 years after these events. It is critical for all perpetrators to be held accountable and brought to justice. Mr. President, France will continue to support the efforts of UNMIK in coordination with KFOR and ULEX Kosovo. France supports all of the conscientious efforts which are geared towards improving and streamlining peacekeeping missions through efficiency measures in compliance with their mandates. The mandate of UNMIK is closely entwined to the normalization of relations between Serbia and Kosovo, and France believes it needs to be extended for as long as necessary. Thank you. I thank the representative of France for his statement, and I give the floor now to the representative of Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. President Shin, for his briefing. I take this opportunity to commend the former SRSG, Caroline Ziadeh, for her services to UNMIK. I welcome the participation of Foreign Minister Marko Gjuriqin of Serbia and the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Kosovo, Mrs. Donika Gërvalla, to this meeting, as well as Ambassador Lambrinidis, head of the EU delegation. President, at the very outset, let me reaffirm my country's earnest desire to see peace and stability prevail in the Balkans region. We support all earnest endeavors aimed at strengthening intercommunal bonding and trust building. We welcome the recent holding of the inaugural session of the Constituent Assembly of Kosovo and remain hopeful that the political process in Kosovo would continue to move forward with the early formation of the government. We congratulate the government of Kosovo and its people for the successful holding of local elections. President, my delegation is cognizant of the history of this region. We remain convinced that a sustained dialogue and the earnest and full implementation of commitments made under the 2013 Brussels Agreement and the 2023 Ohrid Agreement can lead to lasting peace, stability, and tranquility. We appreciate the European Union's continued commitment and efforts to facilitate dialogue between Belgrade and Pristina. We hope that both sides will sincerely commit to the political process and refrain from unilateral actions that could escalate tensions. Divisive rhetoric, hate speech, and incidents of religious intolerance remain a matter of concern. All efforts must be made by the relevant parties to effectively curb such negative trends that give rise to communal tensions. In this context, we note with appreciation the efforts by UNMIK to foster dialogue and promote harmony and spirit of coexistence amongst various communities in Kosovo. We are concerned by the lack of tangible progress to bring those responsible for the Iber-Lipenj Canal and the Banjska attack of 2023 to justice. We hope that the authorities from both sides would cooperate earnestly towards this end. Mr. President, Pakistan enjoys friendly relations with both Kosovo and Serbia and remains a steadfast supporter of stability and prosperity in that region. This, we believe, can be achieved by adhering to the principle of peaceful coexistence with mutual respect, recognizing each other's sensitivities, and earnestly abiding with the previous agreements. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Pakistan for his statement, and I now will deliver a statement in my capacity as the representative of the Russian Federation. We are grateful to the Deputy Special Representative and Secretary General, Milbert Shin, for the briefing on the situation in the province and for the considerations that have been shared with us, and we welcome the participation of the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Serbia, Marko Gjuriqin, during today's meeting, and we listened to the views expressed by Madam Donika Gërvalla. The Secretary General's report clearly reflects a trend towards a significant worsening of the crisis in Kosovo. The main reasons have remained unchanged. This includes Pristina's hate-driven policy vis-à-vis the Serb community, its zealous desire to impose complete control over the north of the province, with the collusion of a number of Western countries. And this is, to a large extent, precisely why, for all of these past years, the situation in Kosovo settlement unrelentingly continues to deteriorate. We will share just a few examples from the reporting period. Pristina carried out another round of raids to eliminate Serb structures in the province, usurped communal enterprises as well as social services facilities and cultural and athletics facilities. Kosovo security forces are freely circulating using armed vehicles in the north municipalities, sowing chaos and disorder and intimidating the local population. There are indications that there are preparations underway to seize educational institutions and hospitals. The large-scale expulsion of Serbs from social housing in the north of Kosovo is ongoing. The plans to expropriate Serb churches and monasteries include attempts to establish their own Orthodox churches. The pace of erosion of borders around dense Serb populations in the north of the province has grown. The goal is to encourage ethnic expansion of Kosovo Albanians in order to have the Serb-populated municipalities stripped of their autonomy. And 2 new crossings were built across Ibar River without the consent of the Serbs. The Pristina regime's plans include to officially declare Kosovo Serbs as being foreigners. As a result, people who for centuries resided on their land, which holds the graves of many generations of their ancestors, will have to request temporary residence documents. In addition, a requirement has been announced to replace on vehicles Serb license plates with plates bearing the insignia of the so-called Republic of Kosovo. Such lawlessness is being used by Pristina in an attempt to compel the Serbs to apply for local pseudo-citizenship. There's an attempt underway under false pretext to bar from participating in municipal elections to be held on the 12th of October of the leading party of Kosovo Serbs, the Serb List. This party, which despite the discreditation campaign which Pristina unleashed and targeting it in the first round, already secured a victory in 9 of 10 non-Albanian municipalities. We regard the main objective as being ensuring the smooth transfer of power to the legitimately elected representatives and not those whom the Kosovo authorities are trying to replace them with. On the subject of domestic political processes, it bears mentioning that, owing to procedural violations, the position of Vice Speaker of the so-called Parliament of Kosovo went to an appointee, a person who does not enjoy the support of the Serb population, but someone who is loyal to Alban Kurti and his circle. Nor has there been progress in the implementation of, by Pristina of what was enshrined in writing under the EU 2013 agreement, the key obligation to establish an association of Serb municipalities. And Brussels, here too, continues to demonstrate to the entire world its inadequacy when it comes to foreign policy. Nor has there been progress in investigation into the assault on 28 May 2019 of an UNMIK staff member, Mikhail Krasnoshokov, nor has there been any explanation provided regarding the illegitimate declaration of a mission staff member, Andrei Antonov, persona non grata on the 31st of December 2021. Yet, instead of duly seeking to reduce the mayhem by Pristina, Western capitals merely continue to indulge their protege as they strive to impose resolutions to the problems in Kosovo on their conditions in circumvention of international law, ignoring the legitimate rights and interests of the Serbs residing there. Pristina is receiving assistance in building its own army. It is well known that if Alban Kurti clings to power, he intends to increase military expenditures to create a joint military unit with Albania and to put a munitions production plan into operation, as well as to carry out large-scale training for volunteer reservists to provide them with weapons in the event of mobilization. The threat which such plans pose to security in the region is clear. And all of the above flies in the face of Security Council Resolution 1244, which is the cornerstone for Kosovo resolution. And in this connection, we wish to invite the members of the Council to engage in a thorough analysis of this document to better understand how egregiously its provisions are being violated. For example, the reaffirmation of the sovereignty of Serbia, the establishment of provisional self-governing institutions only through UNMIK, as well as the deployment of an international security presence, KFOR, which is the sole legitimate military formation on the territory of a province. Security Council resolutions need to be enforced, and 1244 is no exception. And this is precisely why we support the achievement by Belgrade and Pristina of a lasting mutually acceptable solution strictly within international legal frameworks on the basis of the above document. Today, under no circumstances must the international community diminish its focus on the Kosovo issue. This will help to avoid a new wave of escalation. This is precisely why we categorically object to reducing the frequency and changing the format of Security Council meetings, as well as object to reducing budgetary and staffing levels for UNMIC. The mission, under exceedingly complicated circumstances, continues to carry out an important objective to help facilitate improvements and stability in the province. I want once again resume my duties as the President of the Council, and I now give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Stavros Lambrinidis, Head of the Delegation of the European Union to the United Nations.
President, I have the honor to speak on behalf of the European Union and its member states. The candidate countries, excuse me, North Macedonia, Montenegro, Albania, and the Republic of Moldova, as well as Norway, align themselves with this statement. Colleagues, the European Union remains fully and unequivocally committed to the EU membership perspective of the Western Balkans. We welcome that Serbia and Kosovo remain engaged in the EU-facilitated dialogue led by High Representative Kaja Kallas and supported by EU Special Representative Peter Sorensen. Progress on normalization of their relations, including the implementation of the 2023 agreement on the path to normalization and previous agreements reached in the dialogue, is among the essential conditions of the European path of both parties. The European Union remains deeply concerned about the situation in the northern part of Kosovo. Kosovo and Serbia must pursue sustained de-escalation efforts in close cooperation with EULEX, refrain from unilateral and provocative actions that could lead to tension and violence, and avoid divisive rhetoric. The
European Union wishes to welcome the first round of the pluralist municipal elections held on the 12th of October, which took place smoothly with the participation of all communities. We wish to underscore the full participation of Kosovo Serbs without preconditions in the 4 northern municipalities. We call for a smooth handover of power in these municipalities.
Cooperation between municipal and central authorities that reflects the expectations of Kosovo Serbs, previous agreements, and Kosovo law. In this context, we call on Kosovo to enable the reintegration of Kosovo Serb judges, prosecutors, police officers, and other personnel into all Kosovo institutions they left in 2022. The European Union expects that Serbia will take all necessary measures to apprehend and urgently prosecute, based on substantive charges, the perpetrators of the 2023 attacks in the north of Kosovo. Serbia has taken insufficient actions in this respect. We invite all members of the Kosovo Assembly belonging to the Kosovo Serb community to participate in the work of the Assembly. We call on this Assembly and all political authorities in Kosovo to preserve the democratic and multi-ethnic character of Kosovo. Thank you.
I thank Mr. Lambrinidis for his statement. The Minister for Foreign Affairs of Serbia, Marko Gjuriqin, and Madam Gërvalla Schwartz requested the floor to make additional statements. I wish to remind speakers that I will give this floor one time. I give the floor to Mr. Gjuriq.
To acknowledge and welcome the almost universal agreement of the members of this Council in these polarized times of the difficult position of the Serbian community in Kosovo. I think this sends a strong and powerful message to both Mr. Kurti, Mr. Sveclja, and those in position of power that their human rights violations and transgressions are not going unnoticed, and that they should, without delay, change their ways. I will briefly comment on some of the derogatory words that were said against the country I represent, my country, and the President of Serbia, Mr. Aleksandar Vučić, who was accused here of warmongering. President Vučić not only did not make any such statement at any time, but has consistently called for economic cooperation through initiatives such as the Open Balkans, through which Serbia, Albania, and North Macedonia created a single labor market, but unfortunately Kurti's government refused any such initiative and continued its repression. I also want to briefly touch upon the usage and the preposterous accusation against Serbia of the usage of the word genocide in the context of my country. The term genocide, honorable members of the Security Council, should not be misused, especially not for political and sensationalist purposes. This kind of rhetoric in general, blanket assessments and claims without any evidence or due process are frivolous, not founded in reality, and serve only to score cheap political points. Such irresponsible claims also undermine possibility for progress in the normalization of relations between Serbs and Albanians, Belgrade and Pristina. Finally, if we are talking about the ethnic composition of the population in Kosovo and Metohija then and now, we should also clearly present the facts and say that in Kosovo and Metohija today there are 90% and more of Albanians, and that Serbs have suffered in the previous decades, being victims of crimes and being forcefully expelled from their centuries-old ancestral homes and forced to leave their homes in such significant numbers. And to illustrate this, we remind you of more than 200,000 internally displaced persons who reside in the Republic of Serbia in our jurisdictions without opportunity and conditions to return to their homes. Instead of calling out Serbia on bogus charges, I believe that the authorities in Pristina should allow humanitarian workers like Mr. Milorad Arlov and others who are being prevented from even entering the territory of Kosovo and Metohija to perform their work. I also want to say that speaking about international law, most of the members of the United Nations support Serbia's territorial integrity and sovereignty on the entire territory, as we have been recognized by the United Nations. In fact, in the past decade, 27 countries have revoked recognition of the Unilateral Declaration of Independence, and only 3 new countries have recognized the so-called independence. We are not interested in having this type of competition or this type of political quarrel and a political fight, but we will always stand very firmly for our position, for the resolution 1244, for our constitution and for international public law. Finally, there was a misinterpretation of the meaning of the word Metohija. Kosovo and Metohija, as we say, has deep historic meaning for the Serbian people. I have nothing but respect for the Albanian people, their tradition, their culture. In Serbian tradition, in Serbian culture, the meaning of the word Metohija, or Metohos, as its Greek origin says, is monastery or church property. And indeed, as early as documents from 11th, 12th, and 13th century clearly record the use of the word Metohija for church property in the western part of Kosovo and Metohija. This is not insulting or derogatory in any way, nor it can by any means be linked or attributed to Slobodan Milošević or any other Serbian former or current politician. It's a part of our identity, part of our culture, equally as Albanians call this region Dukajin and have their own names for other parts of Kosovo. Finally, and I'm finishing with this, I want to end on a positive note. Serbs and Albanians are not, and I repeat, are not destined to be enemies. Regardless how difficult dialogue is the only option. Dialogue will lead to trust, and dialogue will lead to a better future, one in which we may really see the economy of the region being at the forefront of European growth, which unfortunately is not the case at the moment. I thank you.
I thank Minister Gjuric for his statement, and I now give the floor to Madam Gërvalla-Schwarz.
Mr. President, thank you very much. I believe we all are witness why it is so difficult, this dialogue process in the 21st century, because we have still to do with people who in Belgrade deny war crimes, they deny genocide, they celebrate war criminals as heroes, and they do this in presence of people who are old enough to know exactly about what happened in the 90s, not only in my country. Just a second about Kosovo and Metohija, and yes, it is an expression of hegemonic aspirations. Why? Because nobody in Kosovo, when we speak about our northern neighbor, do use provinces' names like Šumadija and Vojvodina, for example, or Belgrade and Šumadija, but we call it by the name of Serbia, as internationally everybody here does. So when you hear somebody talking about Kosovo and Metohija, believe me, you have in front of you fans and supporters of the old ideology of Slobodan Milosevic. But I will not comment very long because it would take a whole day to dismantle this kind of propaganda and lies. I want to stress that once again that Banjska was not an incident. Banjska was an act of open aggression of Serbia, of the state of Serbia, against a neighboring country, against the Republic of Kosovo. Impunity followed. The attack on our critical infrastructure in November last year was not an incident. It was a kinetic attack of Serbia against a neighboring country, against the Republic of Kosovo. Everybody here and outside of this building knows exactly who stays behind this all. We have seen it all in the video footages from Banjska, but no consequences. Yes, we have bought drones, but not from a neighboring country. We did it from a NATO member, Turkey. And we are purchasing weapons from our NATO allies, NATO partners. And to be very honest, we are not neutral. We do not pretend to be neutral because we stay side by side with our partners, with our allies, and we do that in a very transparent and very clear way. Yes, NATO members, they train, they advise our security forces, our army. We purchase weapons from them, and we purchase weapons that are very much needed to protect our country and our citizens, and we do not make out a secret of that. But where we do not buy weapons, like our northern neighbor is doing is buying weapons from Russia, from China, from Iran, and other countries like that. Health institutions are not being closed in the north, ladies and gentlemen. In opposite, a serious dialogue with our citizens in these northern municipalities who belong to the Serbian minority is ongoing about how healthcare and education and infrastructure have to look in Kosovo. Because it's all about them. It's about what they need. It's about how they want to live their lives as citizens of Kosovo. We do not want and we do not need ghettos for our Serbian citizens. We need integration, protection, and support for them. and as a responsible government, we are taking serious actions in securing that. That's why we are building bridges, that's why we are building roads, schools, hospitals, and not walls for our minorities. No one, not any Kosovar institution, and no international authorities or organizations do confirm largest parts of the UNMIK report. What Marko Gjuriqin said here doesn't surprise me at all. And for those who were following in the late 80s of the last century what happened in Yugoslavia, they will be reminded that exactly this way, with this language, Milosevic prepared the 4 wars he waged in the 90s. Against Slovenia, against Croatia, against Bosnia, and against Kosovo. Let me repeat my invitation to this distinguished body, the UN Security Council, to visit Kosovo, to talk to citizens of Kosovo in the northern, southern, western, eastern part of our country. I invite you to come and to talk to whom you want. And I invite you to become witness of the incredible story and progress Kosovo has made with the indispensable help and support of friends, partners, and allies. Visit Kosovo, talk to everybody you like, make up your mind, and become witness of the incredible success story of international engagement. Thank you.
I thank Madam Gërvalla Schwartz for a statement. There are no more lists inscribed on the list of speakers. The meeting stands adjourned.